What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day today and I hope it gets even better from watching this video. Today we're talking all about how to let go of your old self so you can make the changes necessary in order to give yourself the life that you want to live. It can honestly be pretty difficult to change. We all know this. Like, so many of us are like, oh, I want to eat healthy, I want to work out, and then we're doing the opposite. If it was easy, we would all be doing it, and watching one single motivational video or educational video would do the trick, but it doesn't a lot of the time. So that is why we're here. There are usually specific reasons why we're stuck in the behavior that we have or in our situation. And I am a firm believer that an awareness of a problem is a problem half solved. You're not going to fix a problem if you don't even know what it is in the first place. So that is kind of what this video is about. I highly recommend you choose one specific area you want to focus on. So if that's becoming healthy, finally starting to eat healthy, to work out, if that's you want to change your relationship patterns, your dating life, if you want to finally become financially successful or successful in general and you want to focus on that, just pick one lane so that you don't get overwhelmed and you feel like you're just swimming in this never-ending sea and like everything needs to be changed and it's chaos. Okay, pick one. You can deal with one at a time. It's all gonna be fine. Okay? I feel like this can be a pretty broad topic sometimes. There's so much we could talk about, and I just really tried to narrow it down and make it as simple and digestible as possible. Give you guys some exercises, some journaling prompts, so you can walk into this new year feeling like you're ready to change and you have all the tools necessary to do so. If you're new here, hi, I'm Nika. Welcome to my channel. I make videos all about self-improvement, and I like to make them very structured, organized, to-do list, form, just very strategic, because that is how my brain works. It has to be organized and I have to have like step 1, step 2, step 3 and cross it off. So if that works for you, I hope you can stick around and subscribe and check out my other social media if you want to see more of my personal life and some other content. I'll have that right here. Also, I apologize for this awful lighting. It's bothering me so much. Unfortunately, I can't control the weather. I could buy a light though, so we'll do that, but I hope it's not too distracting. Okay, let's get into these tips. So as I've already mentioned, pick one specific area of your life, one lane you want to focus on. If you're like easily overwhelmed, if you're like a perfectionist and you see all these issues, it can be really easy to be overwhelmed by it and be like, everything's wrong. My whole life, it's all awful. It's all a disaster. I'm sick of everything. You know, you can like get into that spiral. So if that's something that you're familiar with and you know that you do that sometimes, I highly recommend just having one specific habit, something that you do that keeps you positive. My favorite thing to do and the most straightforward for me is to have a journal. In the morning, I write down, today's going to be a great day. Why is today going to be a great day? And then I list 1 to 3 reasons why. And then after that, or in the evening, you can write a gratitude list and just list 3 things you're grateful for, go into the reason why you're grateful for them, and really feel it, just so we keep a positive perspective and we're happy through the changes that we're making. So let's talk about how to actually change a negative pattern, habit, behavior, something that you've been doing that you can't seem to break, that you know is preventing you from the change that you want. A really, really important thing to understand here, this changed my life. When I first learned about this years ago, I was like, I've never been the same since. It changed the way I deal with things like this forever. So the thing that I'm talking about is called a hidden positive benefit. Every kind of behavior that you have, as good as you can imagine, as bad as you can imagine, anywhere on that spectrum, you're doing it because it's benefiting you in some way. It's still working for you. Otherwise, you would not be doing it. So now your job basically is to become aware of it, what that hidden positive benefit is, the reason why you're actually doing the things that you're doing, and then find a better and healthier way to meet that need. I'm gonna give you a personal example. I am in a healthy, happy relationship now, but I didn't used to be that way. I was constantly stuck in toxic situationships, relationships, whatever, and I kept choosing people that were very judgmental and emotionally unavailable, super critical. That was my type, okay? And what I actually wanted was a healthy, happy relationship. But I kept dating these kinds of people, literally the same person with the same kind of set of qualities in a different form, okay? The same pattern over and over and over again. And I was so frustrated. I was like, why do I keep doing this to myself? It's not getting me what I want, but I was stuck doing it. So my hidden positive benefit in this scenario, my reason for why I was doing it, the emotional payoff the need that I was meeting was that when this kind of guy who was super critical, judgmental, wasn't really attached to many people, when he would choose me, I felt really, really special. And that obviously felt very good to me. I had a very low self-esteem and self-worth. So that was kind of meeting that need for me that I couldn't cover in a different way, or I didn't know how to deal with in a different way. And this was all about instant gratification, okay? It did not last. I felt special for about maybe a few days. And then obviously their patterns would come back and they were super critical and judgmental and neglectful, and the cycle would repeat and repeat and repeat. And I was stuck in like toxic situationships that I did not want. And until I became aware of this pattern and the reason why I'm doing it, I did not change. You and I can clearly see, okay, that is clearly not getting you what you want. You keep choosing these people, being in the same scenarios, and you're expecting different results. That's not going to work, obviously. We can both also very clearly see that this is not a very great way to feel special and feel good about yourself, because it doesn't last. So obviously a good solution here would be to figure out ways in which I can feel special and start making myself feel special and find healthier ways to get that, so that I no longer need this fix. Another thing that's also very important that I also had to do is take responsibility over it and take ownership of where I was and the fact that I wanted and needed to change. Because if you are stuck in a pattern, for example, in relationships, like, oh, I'm constantly in like toxic relationships, these guys are so horrible to me, poor me. I get it. I was there. I used to be a victim with a huge victim mentality. So I get it. I have a whole video on it. I'll have it here. But that's not going to help you to change at all. We all can wallow sometimes and feel bad for ourselves. But if you want to actually change your situation, you need to take responsibility over it and see the part that you're playing. And I was constantly like, oh, these guys are so horrible and blah, blah, blah. But who kept choosing them? This person. Me. I kept choosing them. I was the common denominator, and I had to take responsibility because it's my life. I'm also an adult with free will and decision-making abilities. So this was my responsibility to make for myself and my life if I wanted what I originally wanted, which was healthy, happy relationship. Let's go through the exercise. I'm gonna like read out journaling prompts. You can write them down. You can do it later. You can do it as you're watching this video, whatever floats your boat. But I'm gonna give you an example for each question. And I'm gonna use like love and relationships again, because again, it's easy to understand. So first step, what area of your life are you focusing on? So for example, here, love life. Okay. If I'm being honest with myself, what do I really want in this area? So for example, I actually really want a committed relationship. Maybe I've been like telling myself that I don't want it because I'm a independent, strong woman, and I hear that everywhere. But the truth is I actually would really love a partner to go through life with and to enjoy each other and just experience amazing things together. So if I'm being honest with myself, I really want a relationship. What are you doing and telling yourself that's keeping you stuck? I'm going to give you one example here and then we can work with that one. I'm telling myself that all men are awful and that I hate men. So that's obviously not something that's helping you reach what you want, which in this case is a relationship. If you want to be in a relationship with a man and you hate all men and they're all awful, obviously that's not going to be very helpful and beneficial. And then you're going to take that reason, so all men are awful and I keep telling myself I hate all men, and then you're going to be like a scientist and go into every nook and cranny of this belief and bring it all up to the surface, and then you're going to play like a lawyer that's basically changing your views or like trying to convince you otherwise, okay? We'll get through it. What is my proof of that? So why do you believe this in the first place? In this scenario, one is I grew up with a dad who kept cheating on my mom, or my ex was awful, he was blah, blah, blah. You know, you get it. How is me thinking that or believing that beneficial? So how is this serving you? Because again, everything that you're doing because it's beneficial to you in some way. So why is it beneficial? In this scenario, for example, if I believe all men are awful, I won't ever give one a chance and therefore he won't be able to hurt me, so I will protect myself. How is me thinking or believing that harmful to me, or how is it keeping me stuck? Like what are the negatives of me thinking this way and believing this? Write as many examples as possible here, but one can be like, I won't ever get into a relationship if I believe that, I won't ever experience XYZ, blah, blah, blah. The next one is, what would I rather believe instead? So instead of believing all men are awful and I hate them all, what would be more beneficial to you considering you want to be in a healthy, happy relationship? The trick here is to make it believable. So in this case, it can be some men are pretty bad, but there's also a lot of good ones out there. And then you're going to give proof of that. And you're going to find as many things as you can humanly find. So this can be like, my friend's boyfriend is actually amazing. He's so good to her. She's so in love and happy. That's an example of how men can be amazing also. The next thing you're going to write down is like the solutions you can think of, like changes you can make that are super easy and believable that will help you to really reaffirm this new belief or pattern or whatever you want to call it. So here the solutions can be like, I will research masculinity traits and write down all the traits that I actually like and how they could benefit me if I had a man like that in my life. When I'm around men, instead of just searching for ways that I like hate them and don't like them, I'll start to look for the good. Like, what are the things I actually like? And I'll just keep a mental note or like write them down in your notes. Just write as many like solutions that you can think of. We want to make this new way of thinking concrete. So again, the point of this whole exercise is for you to, first of all, you need to figure out what that hidden positive benefit is. If you're being honest with yourself, why are you actually doing the things that you're doing, even though you know they're not getting you the results that you want, so that you become aware of the problem, and then you're gonna dissect it and then figure out the solutions and a new way of thinking so that your mindset and your perspective can completely change, and then your behavior is so much easier to change because you don't have this one thing that's just constantly keeping you stuck, this knot that cannot seem to be untied. And then it's all about just you being diligent in creating a new pattern, a new behavior. And you of course need to be a little disciplined. I'm gonna have my discipline video up here, and just be consistent with it. But it's gonna be so much easier because you're not gonna have that resistance. When you don't clear this first and you're trying to change, it feels like you're going with like a kayak up a river. And when it's all kind of cleared and you're aware of a problem, again, you're 50% of the way through, then it feels like going downstream with your little kayak. Of course, you need to put some work into it, but it just flows. It's so much easier. Another thing that could be like kind of stopping you from making the changes that you want is an actual fear of change. One of our really, really important like primal needs is a need for inclusion. We want to be a part of a community, a tribe, whatever you want to call it. Most of our emotional needs are connected to this. Like, I want to belong, I want to feel connected, like all of that is our basic human need for inclusion, to be a part of something. So if we look at the flip side, one of our biggest fears then is to be isolated, to end up completely alone. And there's a very real biological reason why, and it's because back in the day when we didn't have so much safety and security of like modern life, if you weren't part of a community, of a tribe, of whatever, your chances of survival were much lower. So back in the day, a very real consequence of you not being a part of something was death. It sounds so extreme, but it's so helpful to understand this because yes, we're more evolved now. We have, more safety, more security, and you and I can logically understand how, okay, if I'm not actually with my family, or if, I don't have my friends or whoever, doesn't mean I will die. Like, I can take care of myself still and like protect myself in a lot of ways, but your psyche is still that caveman. Okay. So this is a very, very real need and a very real fear. The reason why this is important is because that fear becomes very real when you're trying to make a significant change in your life. So let me give you an example. I want to be super successful. I have the resources. I know exactly what I should be doing, or at least enough to get started. And something is keeping me stuck. I keep doing the opposite, or I come to a certain point, I give up, I give myself reasons why I shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. So let's say I grew up in a pretty like poor family, and all I heard all the time was rich people are evil, they're greedy, money is the root of all evil, all of this. So obviously your subconscious is like, if we get successful, we will no longer be connected to our family because they will shame us also, because we will all of a sudden become something that they clearly hate or dislike or judge. And because again, that fear is so intense in us, we will choose to stay stuck instead of risk losing something or someone that we're connected with. Another example in this scenario, like this man might have like friends who are kind of from a similar background. They're not very well off, the same as him. And now he wants to make this change. But if he does, he might risk that connection because he might not have anything to relate to his friends about anymore. His life will become completely different. They might not be friends anymore. And again, because this fear is so real for us and this need of inclusion is so important, we oftentimes stay stuck because the fear of losing something is much greater than making the actual change and doing the thing that we want. So obviously in this case, this guy is not scared of success. He's scared of losing the things and the people that he currently has. For this man, all of this is unconscious. He's not aware of it. So you can see how he would keep trying and trying and trying and signing up to programs and trying different habits and new methods, and all of it would fail because so much of his subconscious that's basically ruling most of your life is not on board at all. It is terrified of that change, and it will keep him stuck over and over and over again until he is actually aware of it and makes this conscious. That's why it's so easy to make a change when you've got nothing to lose. So a really important question to ask yourself is, what am I afraid I will lose if I make this change? It will make all of this conscious, and then you can deal with that instead of just being on that hamster wheel and nothing's ever changing. A lot of the time, if we're not aware of all of this, we change when actually risking losing what we have and the connections that we have is less unbearable than being stuck where we're at and not doing the things that we want to do and living the life that we want to live. Think back on the times when you went against something that you really, really wanted and felt like was the right thing for you to do, or you were resisting the change that you so desperately needed and wanted and felt right. How did it feel? How was that whole situation? Probably not great. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be stuck. It usually sucks, but also sometimes you're pushed into that change against your will at the end of the day, and you're like, it would have been so much easier if I just made that decision when I felt it, because now it's so much more painful and harder and I'm forced into it. I've experienced that so many times. And also the people around you might change with you. They might grow with you. You might inspire them to do the same. You can't force anyone to change, but there is a possibility that they will and that you will still be connected. It's just really helpful to be aware of this fear and to then choose what you want. A good thing to do here is to write down ways in which you can still be connected and close to those people even if you change in that way. So if I become successful and rich, how can I still relate to my friends? What do we still have in common despite all of this? It's not a guarantee, but it does make you feel a little bit better and it makes it easier. It's also really helpful to find new communities and people who already are where you want to be. If you want to be healthy, find the people around you who already are working out consistently and eating healthy, or follow people online. There are so many ways you can join a community and find new connections, and that can kind of help you to feel a little bit better. But the point of all of this is to make it all conscious, for you to clearly see what is happening, for your whole mind to be on board, and then you can make the decision that is best for you and take the necessary steps to get there. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I am still really bothered by this light, so we'll see how editing goes, but I hope it was helpful. I know it was a little bit more intense and serious than my other videos, but let me know if you enjoyed it, if you want to see more content like this, and I can sprinkle them in every once in a while. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!